All right. It looks like everybody is up and ready. So before we get started with our lesson on going over the power of now, the book review, the book study that those of you that attend our daily live streams wanted me to go over, a very powerful book. We're still in chapter 20, or excuse me, chapter 1, and it's already like gems on gems on gems. It's a powerful book. A couple announcements. Remember that if you're listening to this and you're wanting to learn how you can better your life and you need help and assistance with that, I do have a couple more spots left for Hey Babe Bros for private coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. Also, if you have problems protecting your boundaries, you're picking up negativity from different situations, different people, and you want to learn how to balance and control your energy, and at the same time learn how to set proper boundaries in your relationships and even in physical circumstances, so you're not picking up on all the feels and the negativity, and also giving too much, right? Giving too much in your relationships to where you feel emotional and you feel like you're giving a lot and people are taking, but when you need somebody to help you out and give to you, they're not willing to give to you, so you feel empty and worn out and resentful in certain relationships. Make sure you check out the free class. It goes down on August 26th at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Totally free. All you have to do is text the word mastery to 833-231-4407. The number again, hey Robert, 833-231-4407. And as discussed, we're going to be talking about the power of now. This is a phenomenal book. If you haven't listened to the other lives that we've already done this week, you need to go back and listen to them because you're missing out on some powerful information that will help you not only explain spiritual awakening, but if those of you feel like you've been caught in a rat race or feel like you've been caught in, playing this game, people call it the matrix, being a part of this matrix and feeling like you want to break free, but feeling like you don't quite understand how to do so, or even when people say break free from the matrix and spiritual awakening, what that truly means, then you're going to want to listen to the other lessons that we had so far. So just to recap a little bit of yesterday before we move forward, we talked about how a lot of people are slaves to their mind, and we talked about how about 80 to 90% of most of the thinking that we do on a day-to-day basis is repetitive and it's useless. However, we still continue to identify ourselves with our thoughts, even though if we took the time to actually observe our thoughts, we would see that the thinker part of ourselves, the thinking part of ourselves, is separate from ourselves if we're able to observe it, right? So because our thinking is repetitive and useless, and it's often negative in nature, we often experience dysfunction or harmful results in our life as a consequence of us not being able to control our mind, pick it up, use it as a tool when we want to use it as a tool, but when we want to put it away, you put it away. You use it for creativity, you use it to truly think, you use it to solve problems, you use it to help bring you closer to what it is that you want to manifest, materialize in your life. However, after that, you put it away. It's not the thing that's running the show. Where we left off, though, is that people think compulsively and that they identify with those thoughts, and that is an addiction. The reason why thinking is an addiction, he said in this book, is because you no longer feel that you have the choice to stop. And I'm not bashing those of us that may have experienced some sort of condition or mental illness or sadness or depression. However, the reason why we get in these states is due a lot in our mind, which our mind is not our brain, and our thoughts. And if we no longer have control over our mind, and that mind takes over our life to the point where we become obsessive, compulsive, depressed, whatever it is, and you don't feel like you have a choice to flip a switch and stop it, then you have to understand that at some point you flipped over to an addiction to letting this mind, this process, which is just like your heart beating, just like your blood pumping, run the show. And so he said, why should we be addicted to thinking? And he said, because we derive our sense of self from the content and the activity of our mind. And it's true. Think about who you think you are. It's not that being that we've talked about when you pull yourself out of whatever it is that you're going through and you start to be the observer of your mind processes and your thoughts. We tend to identify ourselves with what's happening around us, who's around us, how are they impacting us, what are we experiencing with our senses, so on and so forth. And as we identify with that, what you start to realize, and what I'm hoping that you realize by now, is that you're identifying your sense of self with something that is not truly who you are. These are just truly things that are going on around you that you're picking up on with your mind. And when you get stuck in that phase, then the only things that are important to you are the past and the future. And I'll give you an example. Worrying, right? Anxiety. Usually you are letting your mind think compulsive thoughts about things that are happening in the future. Obsessive compulsion, letting your mind run the show. OCD, letting your mind run the show about things that are not really real in this present moment and are not even a big part of who you are, even though you allow that to be a part of your identity if you happen to feel that way. Or even depression. Most of the time when I'm dealing with clients that have some sort of a mild depression, it can either be situational, yes, but the situation is past and now we are identifying and reliving and thinking about whatever has happened in the past and reliving that rather than really thinking about the present and really looking at your thoughts from that space and understanding that if you could be in a place of being, hey Rotunda, then what you would see and what you would realize and what you would experience is that those thoughts that you allow to stop you from living the life that you really want to live are not that deep. They tend to impact you less when you understand truly who you are versus identifying with that mind. So the present moment, which is what you would be doing if you slow down in life, if you started to notice how you walk, how the air feels, how's the wind blowing, what do the trees look like, or if you started to be someone that observed their thoughts, you would automatically pull yourself into a different state of consciousness as the observer rather than identifying falsely with the thinker, and you would experience liberation. But as long as you want to continue to identify with your mind, you're not going to be truly liberated. Thinking and consciousness are not synonymous. Thinking is only a small aspect of being conscious. However, in this movement of people wanting to say that they're woke and people wanting to say that they are moving to these next levels and going through these portals, nobody's moving to a level or nobody's moving to a portal if they think that the reason why they are reaching that state is because they have learned some sort of a piece of information, because that's not what it is. The information is only a tool that your thinker has allowed you to pull in. But what really is bringing you to these higher states of consciousness is being. It's not thinking, it's not doing, it's being. Let's see what else he says. So enlightenment is rising above thought. In an enlightened state, you still use your thinking mind when it is needed, but in a much more focused and effective way than before. You use it for more practical purposes, and you are free of that involuntary internal dialogue, and there's inner stillness. Hashtag being, yeah. So what this means, everyone, is that if you are truly using your mind for what it is supposed to be, just like you would use a hammer to hammer in a nail, just like you would use, like a can opener to open a can, you would use your mind as that sort of a tool practically when you need it for certain instances, but when you don't need it, you would put it down, put it back, just like you put down the hammer or the can opener when you don't need it. Creativity, problem solving, true thinking, not mental activity, are some of the things that your mind will be a tool for. In all actuality, the way that life should work is that your heart and your mind, or I would say your conscious and your subconscious, need to be aligned and on the same page. But the true driver of that is the subconscious, is that intuition, is your soul, is the driving force that is saying, what is it that you want in life? What is it that you want to experience? What do you want your purpose to be? You look for a purpose outside of yourself, trying to figure out, well, how can I find my purpose? Your purpose is within you. So whatever it is that you want to do and who you want to be, if you're able to flourish and you're able to be that light and you're able to give back to the world, that is truly who you're supposed to be. And once you make that decision, another way that your mind is working for you in your favor as a tool, being practical, like he's talking about here in this chapter, is then you use your mind to help you think creatively about how you can get what it is that you want to get in life. But how many of you have goals and you have dreams and you think about all the things you want to do, you should have did, you would have did? You think about things in a negative state, like you said, thinking the same thing over and over, the same thoughts you thought yesterday, the same thoughts you think today, and they're mostly negative. Instead of truly using your mind as this tool to think about, well, this is what I want, mind, help me figure out how to get it. And if you're not using your mind in that way, you may want to look at the fact that you may be a slave to your mind. So then it gets into emotions, right? Because ladies that work with me privately, ladies in the Personal Mastery membership, you know that there's two parts to living your best life, and there's two parts to living the life that you want to live. The first part is the thoughts, and really being able to be in control of your thought processes, or that mental chatter that we've been talking about. The second part, though, is emotions, because we have two things that we need to be using as a tool in order to help us calibrate to that in which we want to experience. So he talks about emotions, and he says that emotions are the body's reaction to the mind. Emotions arise at the place where the mind and the body meet. An emotion is the body's reaction to your mind, or a reflection of your mind in the body. I want to break it down more like this, because I think it's more than just your body's reaction to your mind. You experience emotions based on how you process the things that are going on around you. You experience feelings, right? For some of us, we can experience the same situation, but because of the way that we think toward that situation, it can drum up different emotions. For some people, they get triggered, other people don't, right? So I also feel like, I feel like that's what he's talking about. Your thoughts are going to control your emotions. So if you are experiencing things that make you sad or depressed or resentful or frustrated or burnt out, then the first trigger that you need to understand is, number one, if I'm not feeling like the being that I want to be in order to have what I want to have, then my feelings are my first clue for a lot of you that I'm off. Because a lot of us don't understand that our mind, that mental activity, is not who we really are. But your feelings are going to be the first trigger. And if you don't feel happy, joy, contentment, even neutral, then you know you slid into a place where you're not as close to being as you could be. But I also think that because human beings are perceptive and they're intuitive, your feelings do also pick up on that energy that is emanating off of a certain person or off of a certain situation or environment. And so that is also a clue that if you go and you talk to somebody, or you're in a relationship with somebody and you're feeling a certain way, then you need to figure out why you feel that way. And then you can start to think about the thoughts, right? You can start to go through the mental processes and use your mind as a tool as to why, when you're around certain people, you feel this way, or why, when I'm in certain environments and circumstances, I feel this way. So I think it's a little bit deeper than what he mentions here, although he may get into that later. So for right now, if everything's making sense, leave me a heart, let me know, because again, this is a very deep book. This is what you guys wanted to hear. Maybe we all needed to go through this information, because I know I've been very inspired by rereading this book, but I just want to make sure it's making sense for you all. Okay, So the more you are identified with your thinking, your likes, your dislikes, your judgments, your interpretations, what you are needing to understand is that you are less present as you are when you are watching your thoughts. And then the stronger the emotional energy charge that comes from these thoughts that are having, whether you are aware of it or not, are what's going to be the key to you being vibrating a certain frequency that you vibrate in life, but also twofold attracting the sort of life that you want to have. So I guess what I'm trying to say, and what he's trying to say, is that if you are experiencing strong emotions towards something, the first thing that you may want to check is how you think about the things that you're experiencing, right? Because that's the clue. And if you allow your thoughts to allow you to cascade to strong emotions, then you start to impress things into your subconscious mind. And if you think about what we talked about the previous 2 to 3 weeks when we were talking about the atomic habits and how we create better habits in our life to get what it is that we want, when you start to impress things into your subconscious because you've charged it with some sort of an emotion, it starts to hardwire these neural pathways into your brain, which means that sometimes you can circumvent certain things by just thinking but not feeling. You kind of feel neutral about them. But when you think powerful thoughts and then you feel powerful feelings behind those thoughts, look at the trends of what it is that you where it is that you feel the energy and you think the thoughts, because I bet that's how you are impacting your life. If you look at your relationships, your finances, your spirituality, your connection to yourself, all of that, I bet, is going to be a clue of not only what it is that you think, but also what it is that you, how it is that you charge those thoughts with emotions. Hey, Ashley. The topic is not about controlling emotions. It's just about how people are a slave to not only their thoughts, like we talked about the past 2 days, Issa, but it's also about how we also become a slave to our emotions, and how if we can be conscious of those two things and understand that our emotions are actually, if we're feeling sad or depressed or happy, is because of the thoughts that we have. And so how can we, again, go back to that, not being a slave to our mind in order to not experience like traumatizing or negative thoughts as well as negative emotions. It's teaching you how to free yourself from the suffering that you experience in your life because you unknowingly have played a part in the suffering that you experience in life. And a lot of it is because we forgot and we have been deconditioned to be connected to who it is that we truly are in life. He also does state, though, that if you cannot feel your emotions, if you're cut off from them, then you will eventually experience them on a purely physical level as a physical problem or a symptom. There have been studies to show that people that hold in emotions, resentment, they don't express them, that they tend to experience more physical problems. A lot of cancer studies have shown that kind of stuff crops up when you don't deal with the emotions. I know Louise Hay did a whole book, You Can Heal Yourself or Learn to Heal Yourself, something like that, where she talks about specific things and emotions that you may be feeling, where they could be tied to in your body, to see if you can learn how to heal some of this traumatic emotion thought stuff so that you won't experience the physical symptoms of those. As a nurse, and just intuitively, I've felt that a lot of people that I've experienced with certain illnesses have been of emotional nature. And again, that emotional nature, the way that they reacted, is based on the way that they viewed it through their thoughts, right? Through their perspective. He states, if you have difficulty feeling your emotions, start by focusing attention on the inner energy field of your body. Feel your body from within, and this will put you in touch with your emotions. And he's going to talk about more in detail later. So I'm assuming that that's going to come up later. Can you repeat the book and the author? Louise Hay, I think was her name, and I think it's something like "You Can Heal Your Life." If you Google it, you'll find it's a super popular book, especially in the spiritual community. So you should be able to find it very easily. Okay. So he says, if you really want to know your mind, the body will always give you a truthful reflection. So look at the emotions, or rather feel it in your body. If there is an apparent conflict between your thoughts and your feelings, the thought will be the lie and the emotion will be the truth. Y'all, listen to this. If you start to pay attention to that mental chatter that you have, remember that's not you, but it's something that's going on. We're addicted to it. So if you start to pay attention to your thoughts, and then you start to pay attention to your emotions, and they don't even feel the same, guess what's the lie? Your thoughts. And a lot of us know that. A lot of us have dreams that we want to accomplish. We have goals that we want to go after. And we can feel it in our heart that we were meant for more, that we are meant to be doing something else. However, we let our thoughts come in and take over and talk us out of the very thing that we know in our heart that we should be doing, number one. But I'm going to do kind of like a devil's advocate. Hey, Raven, a devil's advocate would be, at the same time, we try to trick ourselves by pretending that we're in a state of mind. We have a mindset that's going to allow us to move forward in our life more successfully. And then we wonder why, hey, well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking I could do it. But I bet if you dropped into your feelings about how you truly feel about the things that you are telling yourself or trying to think, if you don't feel them, then they're not going to help you get what it is that you want to get. That's probably the number one thing that people struggle with, and then they wonder why they don't manifest the things that they want, or why they're still in struggle and strife. Mindset is 99% of anything that you want to accomplish in life. And a lot of times when people want to manifest, they start to think about, or they start to focus on thoughts. Well, maybe I'll just think differently, or maybe I'll just try to figure it out, or do all the things. And so you falsely tell yourself that you think positively, you think you can do it, you have faith in yourself, you are doing all of the things, that the buzzwords that you should be doing, right? But then if I ask you, well, do you feel like you're going to be successful on a scale of 0 to 10? Or if, like for me, especially if I'm doing something that I'm not very confident in, I know that I have the ability to do that. Like I know that, but my emotions are what is telling the truth. I'm scared. I don't have confidence. I don't even maybe sometimes think that I should even be trying to attempt what it is that I need to do. And because that is where my heart, my soul, my feelings truly lie, that is the truth of everything else. So if you want to know if you're moving in the right direction, your heart and your mind, number one, should be moving in the same direction, because your mind is a tool. Number two, if they're not, then you need to think about what you think. If you're trying to do something, if you want to be better, and I asked you, well, how do you could be successful? Do you think you could do it? Or if I say, okay, take your goal and times it by 10, you could do it. Does that bring up doubt? Does that bring up fear? Does that bring up a sense of anxiety? Does it make you sweat a little bit? Because if it does, then it's showing you that no matter what you tell yourself, no matter what type of lie you try to tell yourself, your feelings are telling you how it is that your state is, what your frequency, what your vibration truly is. And if you don't feel it deep down in your bones, even if you don't have it, if you don't feel it, then that is your clue that something is off. So he said, or somebody asked him in the book, so observing our emotions is as important as observing our thoughts? That was a question. And he said, yes, make it a habit to ask yourself, what's going on inside of me at this moment? That question will point you in the right direction. But don't analyze it, just watch. Focus your attention within. Feel the energy of the emotion. And if there's no emotion present, take your attention more deeply into the energy of your body. Because again, that's going to be another doorway to your being. And again, coincidentally, the things that we are learning in this book, the things that we learned in the Atomic Habits book, are it's the key to having whatever it is that you want in life. There is no mystery. If you see people crushing it and getting what they want, they consciously or subconsciously know how to do these things. And so if you want to have the success, if you want to stop suffering, if you want to honor your heart that's telling you to go after these dreams and these goals and get out of the situation that you're in and break these mental ties that keep you back, keep you in patterns, keep you stuck, and move past the circumstances that life is throwing your way and finally start to move forward, this is the stuff that's going to help you get there. Even though in the other book it was about goals, right? And in this book, it's about more of that spiritual connection, that being and that presence. But the more that you can be in that spirituality, that presence, and have that state of mind that what's happening on the day-to-day is not real. And what you are connected to is a power and a purpose that you feel in your heart and you feel in your mind and move forward from that space, then you're going to have what you want. And if you want your situation and your circumstance to change quickly, then this is what you need to do. How can you be more in that state where you are the observer, where you're paying more attention, where you are just being? All right. Oh, my nose is starting to itch. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. Again, very deep book. Anybody have any questions about what we covered today? Tomorrow I will be traveling. I think I will be here. But if I won't, I will leave a message on my probably Instagram, because that's the easiest. I'll leave a message on my Instagram stories just to let you know if I got to the destination the way I was supposed to, so that I can be here at 7 p.m. Any questions, any concerns about this book, any struggles? This is some very deep and powerful information, but it just ties together everything that you need to do. You regulate yourself by being in control of your thoughts and your emotions. And if they're not what it is that you have to be here. No, I'm going to try, I promise. But if you are living life more reactive, you're not being present, you're not regulating things, you think that life is happening to you, and when life happens to you, you feel all the feels, and so you get thrown off course, then you really have to truly shift back to who it is that you truly are. And when you shift back to the powerful person that you truly are, I promise you anything is possible. And if you're struggling and if you're not where you want to be, this is what you need to do to turn things around in an instant. When I was going through my rock bottom, and that story is on my website, so you can go see it, yashikasintuition.com/my story, but I tell the whole story. And when I had to start all over from rock bottom, what saved me was being open. And being open was helpful because I was able to slow my life down, be more present, and not knowing what I was doing. But it saved me, and it helped me become more intuitive and more perceptive, so that I was able to hear the voice of God to help guide me at a time where I felt lost. But whenever I'm not present or in that space of the observer, I don't hear the voice. I don't hear the guidance. And so if you're feeling lost or confused or disconnected from that voice too, then this is going to be that key to get you connected to yourself and get you connected to that guidance that will always point you in the direction so that everything is better than you ever thought it would be. All right. You say you're going to have to replay this live chat. And then Raven said I have to be there. Safe travels. Thank you, Robert. All right, ladies, I will hope to talk to you tomorrow. If not, I'll let you know. And if I don't talk to you tomorrow, then you know that we'll be back here Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, take care. Bye, guys.